This game is brought to you in HD TV by LG. Life's good. As we try to find out who will be playing Baylor in the next round. Big Ten meets ACC. And a little thought before the tip here, Clark.
Well, both of these teams, excellent defensive teams, Jim. They hold opponents to 40% field goal shooting. The key for Purdue is to compete on the glass and find a way to get a third score. They've got to count on Juwan Johnson and E'Twaun Moore to give them production offensively, but they need either Grant or I think Chris Kramer, Keaton Grant or Chris Kramer, to step up and produce double digits for them.
This is E'Twaun Moore. Giving it up to Johnson from the outside to center, off the back of the rim with the shot. Singler has it for the Blue Devils, the #1 seed in the South. On a roll here late in the year, having won both the regular season conference title and the tournament. Shire
continues his shooting struggles, Jim. He's only 29 now of his last 94 shots from the field.
Up ahead, Purdue with a fast break basket. And as Johnson slamming it home, the Devils last week in Jacksonville trailed for a grand total of 18 seconds into 2 games. Shire working hard for it. Johnson got a hand on it. Zubac out high to Nolan Smith, who really carried them for a good chunk of the way against Cal in the second round. This is Singler stuck.
Swarming defense here by the Boilermakers.
Smith with the left hand, and they're calling it offensive.
That's Chris Kramer, the 2-time Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, taking the charge. And in transition, Grant to Jay Square for the throwdown. Keaton Grant to Juwan Johnson. Easy buckets, partner, will be very important for Purdue and Duke to find because of how good both of these teams are in the half court defensively.
That charge call takes the basket away. There's Kramer in the right spot on a loose ball. Johnson away from the basket again, bringing Zubac with him.
That's a matchup he'll be able to exploit away from the goal, just like that.
Johnson hits the jumper for 2.
I would expect Mike Krzyzewski to perhaps look to get one of the Plumlees in relatively soon if Juwan Johnson is going to continue to operate on the edges.
Grant with the steal. Singler defending. And he influenced the shot and did it cleanly without contact. After Keaton Grant had made the theft, looking for a breakaway. Shire. And that's going to be on Johnson of Purdue. Well, Purdue, everyone with the brackets came out, knowing the Robbie Hummel situation, knowing how poorly Purdue played in the Big Ten tournament. Said Sienna's going to beat them. They beat Siena, and they beat A&M in overtime. Here's Singler, hits the jumper, a 2-point shot. Meanwhile, Duke wins over Arkansas, Pine Bluff, and then beat the regular season champs out of the Pac-10, Cal. It's Johnson.
That shot is one Johnson should look to get, but he has to be selective. That was after one pass and not really moving the defense.
Lance Thomas in there fighting for it. And the contact again, the call against Purdue. It's on Jackson in his first. And you look at the scoring leaders, if you will, for the Devils in the tournament last week over in Jacksonville. Singler, Smith, Zubac pitching in, and Shire, as you mentioned, struggling from the field in the game against the Bears. Lance Thomas has one more. Well, they have really 3 scores on the season, averaging at least 17 a game. Shire, Smith, and Singler.
They combine for right around 54 points a game, do those 3, Jim. Singler has really picked up his play in the month of March, averaging close to 20 points a game during the month of March, while Shire has gone south with his points per game average and field goal percentage shooting.
Well, it is the South Regional.
You don't ever want that shooting percentage to go south.
Here's Kramer over Zubac. And Zubac with that outstretched arm forced the air ball. Singler off the screen of Zubac. That's Thomas again crashing the boards, but this is going against Duke. It's going against Shire.
Well, rebounding the ball effectively for Purdue has been a problem, particularly with Robbie Hummel's injury back on February 24th. They lost one of their best rebounders and the size he brings to the floor. So you look at that Purdue team out there now, they're relatively small. And that lends itself to struggling on the glass.
There's the first turnover of the game by the Boilermakers.
They usually do a good job in that area, Jim. They're +4 in turnover margin. They force 4 more turnovers than they commit on average. That'll be something else to keep an eye on in this one. Can they turn Duke over and get some early scoring opportunities in transition as a result?
Another air ball, this time by Lewis Jackson. Here's Shire off the switch off. Dumping it inside. No! Juwan Johnson picks it off. That's now 3 on Duke. They had only 5 last week in the win against Cal. Zubac clears it. Shire up ahead. Smith. Singler loves the wing. Loves it. That's 3.
Well, Purdue has to slow down just a bit. I know they want to try to attack before Duke's half-court defense is set, but the last couple of shot attempts have been too quick. Move the ball, move the defense, and you'll get a good shot, particularly for Johnson, because Zubac is not comfortable stepping out away from the goal and defending it.
Singler's shot gives them their first lead of the game. And yet another, what is that, 3 air balls already, Clark?
Yeah, 3 that haven't drawn iron. And yet they're only down 2.
Shire gives it up last minute to Thomas. Back out to Shire. Open shot. Missed his last 11 now in the tournament going back to last week. So Purdue had a big highlight to open up the scoring here, but a Singler 3 has Duke up the first break. All right, Greg, here in Houston, the Blue Devils have brought in the Plumlee brothers, Miles and Mason. They lead it here in the early going, 6-4.
Purdue has also made some substitutions, Jim. DJ Bird with the ball now. Ryan Smith on the floor as well.
Yep, Ryan Smith giving it up here to Bird. In the paint.
Nicely done.
Tell you, Bird has emerged since that Big Ten tournament debacle when they got blown out by Minnesota. Of course, still trying to figure out the answers after Hummel was hurt against Minnesota on February the 24th.
Had a chance to visit with Robbie. He is here.
He's had surgery.
Yeah, he's had surgery and was actually in the hospital during the Big Ten tournament. Said it was really weird sitting there watching the game when you're so accustomed to being out there in the mix. But is well on the way to recovery. He actually got on the court and took a few shots. He doesn't have much elevation yet, but he's got a great attitude, and felt really bad for him when that injury happened because he was having such an outstanding year. But he'll be back, and I'll tell you what, the nucleus is in place for Purdue to have another strong team a year from now.
There's a lot there, and they've got a lot of freshmen that see playing time. Beatty is on the floor now for them.
He's one of those freshmen.
Defending. Tipped up, no.
Look at Kramer get in there and box out and come up with a defensive board. That'll be key tonight, Jim. And Bird can stroke it now. Right on line, just long.
Going back to Duke, Purdue has missed its last 7 shots.
I think they're getting good shots. They just have to be a little more selective and a little more patient in their attack. I think it's the right approach against a good half-court defensive team. Find ways to get early into your offense. But again, you have to be selective. You want to make a couple of passes most times as opposed to one pass in a shot.
Mason Plumlee to his brother Miles. And now Smith.
Boy, Purdue does a nice job really helping on dribble penetration.
Smith with a jumper, yes. Well, you know, you think about Purdue, what would it have been had the Hummel injury never happened, the torn ACL? They might have very well been a #1 seed in this tournament.
Very well could have been, Jim.
Won the first 14 games they played this season. Ended up as the 3 seed. And there's the 3-point shot launched by Ryan Smith. We were there when they played Minnesota in the semifinals of the Big Ten tournament as Beatty gets him with the body. And it was such a big blowout loss at the hands of Tubby Smith's team that, again, Purdue's seed got dropped back.
But not only that, Jim, Lewis Jackson went out of that game and appeared to be
like his foot might not, he might not be recovered in time for the tournament.
That's right. So I think that was a factor as well, not only in terms of what the committee looked at, but also in terms of how people viewed Purdue across the country. Lewis Jackson had just come back a few weeks before that and was starting to find some rhythm and be a major contributor as a starter. As Singler gets to the rim and is unable to finish, but a foul on Juwan Johnson as he got tangled up with Miles Plumlee on the baseline.
That is now the second. That's a big one.
Huge.
Juwan Johnson's second foul. And immediately Beatty comes in for him. And Lance Thomas and Zubac back on the floor. The Plumlees go out. No, I think I said it earlier. When the brackets came out, everybody's saying, hey, like, as if they're the only ones going out on a limb saying Sienna's going to beat Purdue. It is, believe me, it's not lost on the Purdue players.
Oh, without question.
You know, everybody in the world's down on them.
And they galvanized around that. It gave them a little bit of an edge, and they came out and played very well against Sienna.
Kramer has it blocked by Thomas. Kramer taking off like he did against A&M at the end of overtime.
But Lance Thomas right there to deny him. Good action both ways, and Lance Thomas did a beautiful job there, Jim, of getting behind Kramer and making sure his body made no contact, and he was still in position to reach over the top and block that shot.
Etuan Moore misses the short shot. They have not made one from the floor in over 5.5 minutes.
But the defense can keep Purdue in the neighborhood. They are a very good defensive team. They pressure the ball. They help out well with one another. They talk and communicate. That's an offensive foul on Zubac.
Shire in for Smith. That defensive effort on the Purdue side usually fueled by the play of Chris Kramer, who made first team all defensive team in the Big Ten all 4 years. Only player to ever do that. They inbound now to Kelsey Barlow. He's the son of Ken Barlow. Many of you will remember, played at Notre Dame back in the mid-'80s. Here he is. He's a good-looking prospect. Here's Kramer. Dawkins shuts him down.
This guy needs to make some shots for Purdue, especially with Juwan Johnson on the bench with the 2 fouls. Etuan Moore, much like John Shire, Jim, Etuan Moore has struggled of late too. 33 of 102 from the floor in his last 7 ball games.
Well, that breaks a 6-minute, 1-second drought from the field. Shire back to Singler. He's hit 1-3 already, make it 2.
Boy, he is in a nice groove. He is in a really good groove offensively. Both teams do a nice job pressuring the basketball, Jim. They don't allow you to make easy passes. They're in good position.
Moore going for 2 straight baskets right over Singler.
Pretty good defense, just a nice offensive play that time by Etuan Moore, who can get his own shot. He's a good ball handler with good size. Good matchup here of Keaton Grant against Kyle Singler.
Shire in the lane, going to the line for a pair. (11-10) Duke. The Boilermakers coming out of the huddle, 29-5 on the year. They've not been to the Final Four since 1980, and it was in Indianapolis, as it'll be next week. Meanwhile, the Blue Devils haven't been to the Promised Land since '04, when the Final Four was last played in the state of Texas over in San Antonio. UConn beating them in the national semifinals, and Duke trying to get back for the 11th time under the direction of Mike Krzyzewski. Shire at the line off the Barlow foul. First point of the game for John Shire. He's one of 6 finalists for the Cousy Award. Outstanding guards in the country. Shooting struggles away from some of the star players. Pretty grim right now.
Yeah, it certainly is. Both teams struggling to find complementary players to get it going offensively.
After a couple of John Shire free throws, Purdue with E'Twaun Moore coming up short, kick back out. Again, still going without Juwan Johnson, one of their best players, on the bench with 2 fouls.
They picked up that second foul at about the 13-minute mark, Jim. Swarming defense here by Purdue. Got to find some kind of dribble penetration.
There's a 3-point shot. And back of the rim there for Bird. Purdue shooting under 25%.
And being out-rebounded handily to this point. But they force 5 Duke turnovers, make it 6 now.
Coming up on AT&T at the half, Greg Gumbel, Greg Anthony, Seth Davis take you out for a live look at Northern Iowa, Michigan State. Get you caught up on the latest tournament news, plus an AT&T Naismith Watch update coming up on AT&T at the half.
Well, that's one way you can negate the disadvantage on the boards. Force the other team into more turnovers than you commit. And that's what Purdue is doing right now.
Boy, a lot of jockeying underneath, and the call goes against Beatty of Purdue. So he has 2. He's come in getting the minutes that did belong to Juwan Johnson. Now they both have 2.
And Matt Painter was just telling the freshman to play smart, use your head. We need you out here with Juwan Johnson in foul trouble. You can't commit.
They go right at him. They go right at him. And a travel call on Zubac. He was backing in Beatty.
Yep, 7 turnovers now for Duke.
Pretty good effort by Purdue when you think about that. I mean, last week, Duke for the whole 40 minutes against Cal committed 5. Purdue defense has forced 7 in the first 10 minutes.
Well, that's a big part of the recipe for the Boilermakers' success, Jim. They're not a really good shooting team. They're small, so they get out-rebounded. But what they do is force turnovers with this very aggressive defense, and they typically do a nice job of taking care of the ball themselves.
That's Beatty with 7 on the shot clock. Gets the baseline on Zubac. And that's going the other way.
And that's his 3rd.
Wow.
So Juwan Johnson going to have to come back in. And the junior is going to have to play aggressively and effectively with 2 fouls. Here's Beatty. He's got that head down, and by the time he saw Lance Thomas, who leads this team in taking charges, it was way too late.
How good is Lance Thomas at that?
He's excellent because he sees a frame or 2 ahead defensively. He anticipates, and then he gets himself in excellent position. And then he's willing to put his body on the line. He's an undersized power forward, if you will, but he never shies away from physical contact.
Let's see how long it takes him to go to right at Juwan Johnson.
Well, they really don't have the type of post player with the Plumlees out there that can go at Johnson, in my opinion. I mean, both of those guys are big and active, but neither one of them has established a back-to-the-basket post game.
That's Smith.
That's a lower body root canal on DJ Bird. He just rooted out Plumlee. He was in good position, Jim, to box him out, but he rooted him out. You can't ride a guy out. You can give him your hip, and that's it. You've got to hold your spot. You can't continue to move your feet and give him that lower body root canal, as I like to call it.
So 1-1, 7th team foul on Purdue, first one on Bird. And it brings Mason Plumlee to the line. He and his brother Miles, the 6th set of brothers to ever play at Duke. And there's another one probably on the way. Their younger brother Marshall, he's a 7-footer. He's taller than both of these kids right here, who are listed at 6'10" each. Although I believe Mason's maybe an inch taller than Miles. Marshall, a junior back in Warsaw, Indiana, and they could have one crossover year. 2 years' time, they could have Miles as a senior, Mason as a junior, Marshall as a freshman.
You had Marshall at Duke already?
Well, I said he could be.
Oh, okay.
I guarantee Purdue wants to make a run at him. Oh, and a foul on the shot. There's some Purdue bloodlines, by the way, in that Plumlee family. Their mother was a basketball player.
That's right.
At Purdue.
Well, both teams struggling to find the bottom of the net here, and we thought it could potentially be that way. Juwan Johnson, that's a shot he likes. Shire has been in a terribly extended shooting slump. Lewis Jackson not known for his shooting ability. So it's been wayward shooting so far both ways. And, you know, you like to attribute that to defense, Jim, but sometimes guys just are missing shots.
The foul was the first on Mason Plumlee and the 6th team foul on Duke. So Beatty is back in with the 3. And Juwan Johnson sits back down at 8-14. Matt Painter figuring, okay, we got one possession going down the other way, and we may get the whistle at the under 8 timeout. Let me just be careful here.
Got to massage those minutes for Juwan Johnson. I think you're exactly right there, Jim. Want to play a little cat and mouse game with the situation and Juwan Johnson's foul.
Both sides have gone more than 3 minutes without a basket from the floor. And Shire gets it in the paint, well short. Shire crashing in. Going to be called for that one. So the shooting is off. The intensity is up. And Duke leads it by 3. All right, thank you, Greg. The winner of that one to take on Tennessee in the regional final on Sunday. At the line, 1-1, and that was Ryan Smith missing the front end. Duke shooting 27%. Purdue so far 22%. This is Smith. And somehow it goes down and bounces out. They keep Juwan Johnson, by the way, on the floor coming out of the break with the 2 fouls.
So you see a combined 8 for 34 shooting between these two teams. I know they're both good defensively, but shot opportunities are also being missed.
There's Johnson.
He got bumped, he sure did.
And it's going to be the second one on Mason Plumlee. What do you make of these numbers? Look at the rebounding advantage for Duke.
Well, the turnovers have negated that. +9 in on the boards, but -5 in turnovers, and the shooting, obviously, we've documented that. Both of these teams having a tough time putting it in the basket, and neither team has been an outstanding shooting team on the year. I mean, Duke comes in at 44% shooting on the season, and Purdue is at 45%. That's average to pedestrian when you compare that to some of the outstanding teams in the country.
Thomas and Dawkins, Zubac back on the floor for the Blue Devils. And Lewis Jackson will take Bird's spot. Beatty will come in for Johnson if he makes his free throw. Juwan Johnson, 6'10" junior from Indianapolis, from Franklin Central High School. And that's the same high school as Beatty, who was going to come in for him had he made that. Love to get back home for the Final Four next week. Singler, and that's another Duke turnover, number 8 on the game.
Well, both of these teams have shown throughout the course of the season they can win with defense. And that's kind of what we're seeing here. There you see the 8 turnovers already for Duke. And on the season, Purdue forces 4 more turnovers than they commit. Pretty sure-handed with the ball. Good look here for Grant.
Grant's 3 rattles out. They never did make the sub for Johnson. Beatty was going to check in.
He may now. Well, no, he's actually back to the bench.
Now he hops back up. There he goes running in. He heard your call. So Beatty with 3, Johnson down with 2.
Well, this game is still tight enough where Matt Painter can afford to perhaps rest Johnson even a little longer and keep him out of harm's way as far as picking up that 3rd foul. Boy, Zubac missed Singler inside.
5 minutes now without a field goal on either side. Singler squeezes through. Beatty sends it back out on the floor.
Boy, look at the effort here. Boy, that's outstanding effort by the Boilermakers, and I think Kramer got the timeout call.
He did. The arrow would have gone to Duke. They grant the timeout. Look at the block by Beatty. Jim Nance and Clark Kellogg back here in Houston. Only 10 teams still in the chase for the title.
Well, it's been a struggle both ways. Intense, active, disruptive defense on both ends. Look at Keaton Grant. That's eye to eye.
That is.
That is eye to eye combat there, boy. An excellent look at what's going on defensively. And Juwan Johnson, again, the mobility of Juwan Johnson is a matchup advantage, especially when he's being defended by Brian Zubak.
Another defensive play, and it's going to be a
foul, I think,
foul
on Singler.
Mm-hmm. Johnson's jumper ties the game at 15. First field goal by either side in 5 minutes and 35 seconds. And this is one of these, choppy, if you will, out of rhythm, kind of Big Ten bruising kind of battles we've seen on many occasions during the Big Ten tournament through the years we've been broadcasting.
We call them grinders.
Yeah. First one to 40 wins.
And that's kind of where we are. Look at that number there. 4 field goals made by Duke, 9 turnovers. Just what Matt Painter would love to continue to see. That kind of discrepancy between the turnovers his team is forcing and the field goals Duke is able to put in the basket.
Etwan Moore, the academic All-America, hits 2. And Purdue has the lead. Purdue is on a 7-0 run to take the lead on Duke. Shooting percentages are woeful on each side as Smith misses on the runner. Zubak fighting for it.
He may have gotten away with the push-off when he got that initial offensive rebound, but terrific work by Brian Zubak. And the shooting, as you just talked about, woeful.
Purdue has not made a 3. Duke has turned it over 9 times. Got a 1-and-1 at the line now for Brian Zubak. Another story here for some of you just joining us is early foul trouble for the Boilermakers. Juwan Johnson had 2 in the game's first 7 minutes. He's on the floor right now. Then his backup Patrick Beatty has 3. Zubak ties it at 17. The winner of this one to take on Baylor in the regional final on Sunday here in Houston. Baylor had a high shooting percentage in their win today over St. Mary's on this floor. So if you're thinking maybe it's the big stadium, cavernous background, and it wasn't the case in that first game as Moore misses on that one. It wasn't for the Bears anyway.
It sure wasn't. Not for Lace Darius Dunn and Tweety Carter and Efe Udoh.
Shire's shot tipped up by Smith, and Shire has not made one from the floor. He's 0 for 5, struggling as he did last week shooting. It's Grant on the wing, and that's way long. That's now 4 shots by Purdue that never drew iron here in the first half. 4 open jumpers.
Yeah, and Grant is a 36% career 3-point shooter. Way off the mark on that one. Defensive intensity, though, Jim, has not waned either way for both teams. Another turnover force. Should be a layup here.
Johnson, how about a dunk? Kramer got it ahead to Jackson, who quickly yielded to Juwan Johnson, and they take advantage of the 10th turnover here in the first half by the Blue Devils.
Well, that's been the story. The pressure defense of Purdue. Getting through screens, pressuring the ball, not allowing cutters free movement. All of that has led to the forced turnovers. Look, everything is challenged, Jim. Where Johnson has to be careful.
Backing him in, tipped up Singler, no. Going back to Purdue. Duke has gone now 8 minutes without a basket from the floor. And that was Kramer who got it started, Jackson who got the assist, and Johnson who puts it down. Purdue by a basket. We're back here in Houston. An impressive defensive performance by Purdue here in this first half. One of 2 Big Ten teams left. Michigan State the other right now, of course, down at halftime by 7. Duke is the only ACC team still on the board.
West Virginia, the only Big East team.
Johnson, nice. Knocked a soft roll right over Plumlee.
I'll tell you what, Purdue has been excellent defensively, and Johnson has been able to massage. Actually, he, along with Coach Matt Painter, have been able to massage his minutes after he picked up that second foul at the 13-minute mark. Plumlee's got to look to shoot that ball. You can't let defenders back off of you at 15 feet when you've got a stroke like he does.
Not very often you hear Duke going 8 minutes and 42 seconds without a field goal, but that was the case until Miles Plumlee hit that shot. And had missed 9 in a row during that span. And Johnson, Plumlee made a play for it. Looking for the numbers. 2 seconds on the shot clock. Got to take it. There's a lingering shot clock.
It was different. I've not quite heard one like that.
Yeah, I thought it was an evacuation call. And Plumlee this time got him to commit, and he lost it on the way in. So Johnson, the 11th Duke turnover, picks up the ball. And now the Boilermakers in their set. Bird, and back to Johnson.
Yeah, he can go right over top of Plumlee there, and Mike Krzyzewski wants a timeout. Actually, it was Purdue, and it may be a good one because it might give Matt Painter a chance with this 4-point lead to perhaps sit Jawan Johnson.
Just a minute, 43 seconds to go in the first half. And Purdue really dictating the tempo of this one. And on this stage-like setting inside this sizable stadium, you see Coach K on a stool sitting up above the bench. Matt Painter has been standing and patrolling up high. And Singler working hard for the position down low. But Kramer cuts him off. Bounce pass to Smith. Misses the short shot. Zubak saves it. Smith now with a three. Been a real struggle for the Blue Devils in this half shooting the ball.
It sure has been. That was a good look thanks to the effort by Zubak on the offensive glass.
And there's a Purdue turnover.
Every time you cut to the basket, Jim, you have to be expecting the ball. He was wide open for a layup, was Barlow, and that's what DJ Bird is telling him. You don't just casually cut to the rim. You have to expect you might be open and get the ball and have a shot. Barlow was running a play instead of making a play that time.
Singlet. And he has kept Duke's really first half alive here. He's got 11. 11 of the 22.
Well, there you go, 50%. That says it all.
Shot clock turned off.
Want to get working at about 8 or 9 seconds here when you want to get into your opportunity to get a shot up.
Barlow with Smith all over him. And that's Singler with the steal. Singler driving in, and the ball is pinned. That's an arrow that belongs to Duke.
Wow, that was a heck of a play after a almost costly mistake by Barlow. Singler with the nice anticipation, and here comes Barlow not giving up on it and timed it perfectly. What a play.
Duke calls the timeout. Duke possession coming back with 9 seconds to go in the half. Duke has a chance here to go in the locker room with a lead and make sure that it doesn't set a new low for a first half performance, or any half, that is. That came against Clemson back in January.
DJ Bird wants to have an opportunity to step between Zubek and Lance Thomas.
Comes out to Thomas, now to Shire. Shire puts up the three. Still without a basket. Still a chance, and there's the lead. Smith beats the buzzer, and the Blue Devils, now they were 4 down. Got the Singler 3 and the Smith shot for 2 to lead it by 1.
Well, Singler kept it alive, just got a hand on it, and then Nolan Smith, right place, right time.
At halftime, Duke leads Purdue 24-23. Greg Gumbel coming up in just a moment to start the second half with the winner to advance to Sunday's regional final against Baylor.
Will it continue to be a one-man band for both of these teams, or is somebody else going to step up and help out Juwan Johnson for Purdue and Kyle Singler for Duke?
That's Zubak knocking it back out. Double up here.
Boy, you got to get
one more.
Yeah, and he got pushed out of bounds.
They call it on Zubak, his second.
Well, one of the ways you have to try to attack really good defensive teams is dribble penetration and ball reversal. You keep that ball on one side of the floor, defensive teams like these two will really make it tough for you.
There's Kramer. That's a 2-point shot. Look at little Jackson in there. He had it for a moment. Didn't get a clean handle.
Smith and Shire combined to only go 2 of 16 from the floor in that first half for Duke.
Batted around, back to Smith. Smith with the runner. It's the last shot of the first half, the first shot of the second half. And that's Moore. Short. Off the hands of Zubak.
Boy, nice job by Lewis Jackson to penetrate quickly and get it up and down. And you take a look at the first half points. Baylor outscored, almost outscored Duke and Purdue combined.
Open from the corner with a 3. That's Grant. Keaton Grant, the winningest player in Purdue history, been a part of more wins than any other player. And that's the first 3 of the night for the Boilermakers. So that opens things up a little bit anyway. At least we show the Blue Devils they're capable of hitting one here tonight. Maybe more. Singler maneuvering. Basket goes.
And was that Juwan Johnson? It sure was. Let's take a look. Penetration.
Wow.
And Johnson slid into him just ever so slightly there.
His third.
Jim. Yeah, that is his third personal foul.
That stroke of Singler's self-taught. Didn't really have anyone that worked with him on that form, and it's a good one. Back out to Duke. Shire's first shot, second half is long. Now you go back again to Jacksonville. You hate to keep running the count. That's 15 straight misses by Shire. Going back to the Cal game, and Moore steps in, slides off the rim. Duke's got a chance to run with it. Smith to the corner. Shire, one more time. Yes! John Shire hits a 3. Matt Painter calls timeout. And Duke is up by 5. His first field goal in his last 52 minutes of playing time puts the Devils up 5. This entire game has been played within a 9-point window. The biggest lead for Purdue, 4. And now Duke has matched its largest lead, 5. A little 12-3 stretch going back to the late stages of the first half for the Blue Devils. They got that Singler 3 and the basket by Smith right before the half. This one going against the Blue Devils. He called on Zubek. And that's his third.
Yeah, that's unfortunate because that ball had been kicked and Purdue was going to maintain possession, but the foul picked up by Zubek, so he'll take a seat. His third, as you mentioned, Jim, and now Miles Plumlee on the floor.
Kramer needed some help. Gets it into Jackson. Nifty move past Smith. Ball batted. Snagged by Kramer.
It's tough when you just have three guys out there that are really looking to shoot.
Here's one of them, and that's more.
Well, as long as the guys that want to shoot get good shots, I guess it's okay. Lewis Jackson, a very reluctant shooter, and Kramer, although recently he started to pick it up a little bit. Actually, he's 10 of 15 in the tournament coming into tonight's game. Usually only averages about 4 shot attempts per game.
Traveling call against Lance Thomas.
That's just attributed to ball pressure, Jill. Kramer there tracing the ball, got his hand on it, and put Lance Thomas in a tough spot and forced the walk.
DJ Bird comes back in. It's going to be on Plumlee, Miles Plumlee. His second. Boilermakers trying to make it to the Elite Eight for the first time since 2000. And they lost in the West Final to Wisconsin. Here's more for the lead. Back-to-back threes, each one. It's the Boilermakers up 30. That's a 2. Okay, we'll call that a 2. So the game's tied at 31. Smith, rejection. Jawan Johnson. This is a 3, and it's over everything. Grant. Shire. He'll head to the line. He gets trampled. Grant with his second. But each one more just when they were down 5. He starts lighting it up. So we'll have Shire at the line to shoot 2.
Well, partner, we've had a bit of an offensive eruption here based on what we saw in the first half as Shire gets that first foul shot to go down. The teams have combined to make 6 of 12 here in this second half. 3 of 7 for Purdue. 3 of 5 for Duke, and a pair of free throws there.
I was looking through the stat sheet during the break, and so far in this game, Duke has not made a single field goal inside the paint.
A lot of challenge shots in there, and they have missed some that they normally do make.
That's Bird.
They're trying to create a passing lane when there was none.
That's Shire. Chase down Plumlee. Singler. Just a split second late. Nice. Steps in for the 2.
It's a foul on Plumlee, I think, going over the back. But that was a nice move by Kyle Singler. He had a much smaller defender on him and got right into that mid area of the paint and got a good look at it, just overshot it.
Third on Plumlee, 4th team foul, and there's Kramer. Lost the handle going in, and Shire takes it off the floor.
I mean, both of these teams really challenge you when you get into the paint area. They just do not let you, they don't concede baskets.
Look at Kramer, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year in his league. That's will be Bird with the body. 15 foul on Purdue. I beg your pardon, that's their 3rd for the half. 1st on Bird. Make that on Smith, Ryan Smith. Returning is Kelsey Barlow.
Both of these teams pretty good free throw shooting teams. You see the team foul situation with so much time and how hard these teams play defensively. I would expect we might see the bonus within a few minutes here, Jim. And both are, again, good free throw shooting teams. Duke is at 76%, Purdue 73% on the year.
And that's Shire in the paint.
Finally for the Blue Devils. They get one inside, and you got to give Shire an awful lot of credit. He has struggled mightily with his shot. Well documented, but he continues to aggressively look to take the good shots that he gets.
He's got 7.5, 9 for the game. That's Grant with a 3. And that 3 brings Purdue within 1.
Nice job here by Kelsey Barlow to create some pressure in the backcourt.
Thomas baseliner. And that's a reach in on Thomas. That's his second. 15 foul on Duke in the half.
Typically, Duke has done a nice job, Jim, being very aggressive defensively without fouling. But tonight, Purdue got into the bonus in the first half and on their way to getting into the bonus here on the next 2 fouls.
And Johnson.
Come on, man. Come on.
What a job by Kelsey Barlow. That young freshman went in there and raked that rebound away from a Blue Devil. Shot by Johnson. Here comes Barlow. Boy, what a nice job by that freshman. He's put together pretty well, Jimmy. He probably is right about 205 pounds and used all of it there to get that possession for his team.
Jay Bird with one more coming. Beatty's in for Johnson. And Mason Plumlee and Brian Zuback take the spots of Thomas and Miles Plumlee. This DJ Bird playing with confidence, and really how he emerged is quite a story. They were getting just completely drilled in the semifinals of the Big Ten tournament by Minnesota, and in about 19 minutes of action there he scored 10 points. And you know, through all that misery, 40 minutes of misery against Minnesota, Matt Painter found himself another player.
He sure did. He had 10 points in the win against Texas A&M in 19 minutes, Jim. Made 4 or 5 shots, 2 of 2 from behind the arc.
Gave him another option, which is what he needed. Singler was setting up for a hook. That's going to stay with Duke.
Coach K feeling like there have been fouls committed that haven't been called. It's been a physical, tough game at both ends of the court. And we expected as much, Jim, because of how these teams defend.
3 on the shot clock. And Shire warming up.
Well, that was a tough move right there. I mean, he got bumped a couple of times, but just continued to keep that dribble alive right through it. As players, you have to adjust to how the game's being called. If it's physical and touch fouls aren't being called, you can't groan and moan about it. You have to play through that. And Shire did it effectively that time.
Kramer slipping to the floor, but getting it to the corner. Bird off the rim, and Shire has it. Zuback with the pick out high. Now he'll drop low. Smith gets past Barlow. Sends it over to a wing to Singler, and he rattles home a 3.
Well, that was a heck of a catch and shot because that ball was not thrown into the shooting pocket. Singler had to go low to get that one and then get into his shot.
Ties Duke's biggest lead of the night. Singler with 16. The other end, Grant with a 3. Singler snags it off the floor.
Danger zone here. Matt Painter Gonna have to get Juwan Johnson back out there.
Singler driving in, and he's fouled and one. Kyle Singler's hurt, though, on the drive-in.
Boy, and Chris Kramer down as well at the top of the key. Strong move here. Singler jammed that wrist that's bothered him. Yeah, he tried to break his fall, and Chris Kramer is on the floor as well.
Victim of a Zubek pick. Free throw coming up. Duke with its largest lead of the night.
Duke having a bit of a power surge offensively, and this pick by Zubek put the lights out on Chris Kramer. It should have been an offensive foul. He stepped into the path of the defender here and really leveled Chris Kramer. A strong take ended up happening at the tail end of that by Singler, and you see Chris Kramer still groggy. But that should have been an offensive foul. That screener is not allowed to step into the path of the defender the way that Zubek did there.
Duke on a 7-0 run as Singler fails to finish off the three-point play. A Bird foul had sent him to the line. Double up on Johnson, but goes back outside with it. Purdue has come from behind in the second half of both of its tournament wins. And it's E'Twaun Moore with a one-hander.
Big basket there.
They're down 3 in the second half to Siena in 1, and down 11 in the second half before defeating A&M, Texas A&M in overtime.
This is a resilient team, and when you defend the way they do, you have the ability to come back because you can put together consecutive stops.
Singler got stuck under the rim, and Purdue on a break.
Look at Johnson run that floor. Look at J Square get up and down. I mean, he was in a full sprint, Jim, from the half-court line until he got in front of the ball so he could dunk it.
His first points of the second half. His third breakaway dunk of the night. Mike Krzyzewski says, hey, they just outplayed us and out-hustled us in this little segment coming out of that last timeout. We're going to take another break. There he is sprinting on the left side. So Johnson and the Boilermakers back within 3. Tennessee in the Elite 8 for the first time ever for the Volunteers.
That's some kind of story, Jim. You consider where Tennessee was back in late December, early January with the suspensions. Bruce Pearl remaking his squad, and here they are in the Elite 8.
Smith tipped around Thomas, and Johnson brought it down. It'll stay with Duke on the arrow.
Boy, how about that play with 3 fouls by Juwan Johnson? Like Shire is doing for Duke, Johnson involved in everything here for Purdue. Excellent play up top on the ball. Boy, this has been a physical game. These guys are not giving an inch. Kramer back out there after having his bell rung a couple of possessions ago by Zubek on a screen.
Well, he recovered in a hurry, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He doesn't want to be off the floor long in this one. He wants to be right in the middle of everything.
The senior trying to keep his dream alive. Here's Singler. Way long with that one. Bodies tangled, and it's going on Zubek. Well, those were the 2 guys with 3 fouls fighting for it. And it's number 4 on Zubek. With 9:36 to go. Quickly, they bring in Miles Plumlee.
Shot attempt, errant, inside position that time by Juwan Johnson, and that's fairly easy there. Zubek was all over his back.
And the 8th team foul sends J Squared, as you call him, Juwan Johnson to the line, 1-1. Robbie Hummel watching.
Well, I mentioned earlier, I had a nice conversation with Hummel yesterday while he was sitting here watching his teammates practice. Really proud of the way the team is regrouped in his absence. Part of that tripod of Juwan Johnson, E'Twaun Moore, and Hummel. A terrific trio when all are healthy. But Johnson really rising up here tonight for his team.
Smith banks it in.
Beautifully done.
That tripod will all be back next year. Hummel coming off the ACL surgery.
This is where I think Purdue has to continue to play through Johnson and Moore.
Kramer underneath, coming back out with it.
Well, he got in the way that time. That was intended for Johnson, and he had a layup.
Jackson whips it around to Johnson. A little contact, no call.
Well, that's been the case all night, partner. A little contact has gone uncalled at both ends.
Smith turns the corner. Hits the floater. Nolan Smith now with 10. Over the top, and Singler able to take it away. Deny the pass to Moore. On a wing, it's Smith, and he is now the one warming up for the Devils. And a timeout called by Purdue. Duke leads by 9, biggest of the night. 7 unanswered, led by Nolan Smith. I mentioned a 7-0 run. All Nolan Smith.
It's all him. It was John Shire a few possessions ago, and the last 3 have been that man there. Nolan Smith turned the corner on the pick and roll, and then got into the open spot in transition and knocked down the 3. Now what does Purdue answer with? I think you got to try to get it to Juwan Johnson.
Moore. Back to separation.
Or E'Twaun.
He was able to make some nifty moves, step back, hit the 3.
Well, he got a little help from Juwan Johnson there. He was involved in the screen. So out of that timeout, Matt Painter went to his 2 best players in a pick and roll situation.
Over the top to Plumlee and the dunk. .7:19 to go, and Miles Plumlee dunks it home for Duke. Smith on a roll.
Duke is +8 on the scoreboard, but the big number is only 1 turnover here in the second half. The Blue Devils had 11 at halftime, and then the domination on the glass has allowed Duke to get 7 more shot attempts up. And in this second half, 11 of 20 shooting for Duke.
+20 is the rebounding margin. Double up, in trouble, somehow gets it to Grant. Down low, Kramer reach in on Plumlee. And that'll be a 1-and-1. NCAA March Madness On Demand is streaming the Men's Division I NCAA Championship online for free. You can watch any game anytime at ncaa.com. So now 4 on Miles Plumlee, 4 for Zubak, who's coming in for him.
But Duke is better able to weather the foul trouble because they can shuffle in the big guys between the 2 Plumlees and Zubak.
Along with that, Zubak comes in and snags a rebound.
And you wonder if over this 6:50 that's remaining, Jim, if Purdue can continue to hang in there.
Zubak with 13 boards tonight. There's a Jackson whistled for that one. Be the 15th foul on the Boilermakers.
You just get the feeling that Duke is ready to crack this one open. Starting to get scoring inside, making a couple of perimeter shots as well. The extra bodies they have up front in a very physical ball game starting to take its toll on Purdue.
Down low, Zubak lays it in.
They found a soft spot now.
4 points to go with his 13 rebounds. Double-digit margin, first time tonight. Moore, big step to the basket, rolls off the rim. Moore has 10 of Purdue's 20 in the second half. Denied that time. Shire able to get away from Grant, short with a shot. Grant motoring, going all the way in. And that's Barlow following up. Masters Live streams exclusive video of Amen Corner Live, 15 and 16 Live, featured group live, and Masters Extra, showing bonus coverage of the entire field. CBSSports.com/MastersLive and Masters.com. A tradition unlike any other coming up in a little less than 2 weeks. Barlow's at the line after the foul call on Singler, his third. 2 shots. This game was tied at 35, but it's been Duke 18-9 since that time. Bird back out there, and Smith as well for Coach Matt Painter, who was on that staff that won the gold medal in the World Under-19 competition this past summer. Got a congratulatory phone call from Coach K. Saw the numbers show up at 919. Didn't know who it was, so refused to answer for a while. And after a message, it was Coach K had been big timing.
Yeah, that's what voicemail is for, when you don't recognize those numbers.
He felt badly about it. He showed up on Coach K's radio show trying to make up. Here's Shire. Oh, nice move by Shire.
Well, Duke has started to open up its offensive menu now. A couple of high-lows they've been successful with, taking advantage of that size differential. And Shire has really picked up his game in the second half.
Johnson hits the jumper. Been solid all night long.
He sure has been, Jim. But it might not be enough.
5 minutes to play, and it's Duke by 9.
And Shire so good with the ball in his hands in this kind of a situation. Because he's steady with it. He's got size typically on most point guards that will defend him. And this pick and roll action is very difficult to defend.
Using most of the time on this possession. Shire squeezes through, and another one drops for John Shire. Forget about the shooting slump. He ended it here in the second half tonight. Moore gets it to Barlow, has to go back out, jammed underneath.
For the second time tonight, Lance Thomas stepping in the path of an offensive player and taking the charge. And there it is right there. Contact by DJ Bird. Pretty good acting job by Lance Thomas as well. I think that may very well be what Matt Painter is talking about. There was some contact, but Lance sold that one a little bit.
And Nolan Smith doing a little bit of everything.
Well, we talked about how he and Shire had gone 2 of 16 in the first half, but both have had a significant hand in Duke turning things around here in the second half.
Tough pass. Zubek, strong hands, able to hold on.
They'll come right to this pick and roll again. Why not? And this time, Shire rejects the screen and goes on his own.
Going to Purdue. After a break, they had to have a stop there as the margin's now 11. Michigan State is 6 up on Northern Iowa with just 14 seconds to play. So .348 to play. Ball coming in to Purdue. It's been the Shire and Smith show in the second half for Duke here in Houston.
You're right, Jim. 22 points on 9 of 15 shooting between those two for Duke.
Moore. And that's going out. Back to Duke. Duke shot now 56% to this point in the second half after only 24% in the first half. And that's the turnaround again of Smith and Shire. Big part of that. And there's another Duke turnover. It's been a long time. That's only the second of the second half.
That's on Zubek.
That's
so
it, huh?
He's been Dairy Queen. DQ due to fouls. Great effort though on the boards again for Zubek. He's averaged double-digit rebounds in the tournament and in relatively limited playing time.
Well, it goes back to really, this is the 13th straight start for him, and it's been quite a change really to the personality of this team since Zubek took on that role. 14 rebounds he goes out with tonight.
That's after a double-double in the game last Sunday against California. He was perfect from the floor and had 13 rebounds to go with 14 points.
Here in Houston, Brian Zubek of Duke has just fouled out, but unable to cash in on the first free throw. Juwan Johnson. This game was tied at 35. It has been 22-11 since that time for the Blue Devils. And now the full court pressure for Purdue, and that famed defense of the Boilermakers has to step up, make some plays. This game was played within about a 9-point range the bulk of the way until the last 5 minutes and change since Duke started to open things up. A 22-12 stretch. And now under 3 minutes to go. Trying to advance to take on Baylor Sunday in the regional final. That's Smith. He's had a monster second half. He and John Shire have been the story here. They were ice cold early, and now they've gotten it going. That's 11 in the second half for Smith, 13 in the second half for Shire. Duke has his largest lead of this game.
And Jim, you're right. That's been the difference. Duke's ability to defend and have more offensive weapons than what Purdue has been able to have. It's basically been Juwan Johnson with occasional contribution from E'Twaun Moore tonight. Duke had Shire and Smith. Zubek doing a great job on the board. Singler getting the double digits in the first half.
It's Moore controlling with the fingertips, driving on Shire.
Boy, the ball was actually, the rim was touched, it appeared, or the net. As that shot went up, that should have been offense. That should have been basket interference, it appeared.
That rim was shaking, wasn't it?
Yeah, somebody grabbed it.
And now 2 minutes left for the Devils to try to close it out. And that's a foul on Purdue. The 17th foul, so it'll be a 1-and-1. Here's what you're talking about.
Here's a shot by E'Twaun Moore. And then there you see Plumlee grabbing the net, which should have been offensive, which should have been basket interference there. That should have been a good basket. Instead, John Shire was fouled and will have a chance to add to his point total here.
Duke, the last hope for the Atlantic Coast Conference, and barring the incredible comeback here it would take for Purdue, the Big Ten will be left with one after two are eliminated tonight. Ohio State going down earlier to Tennessee. So we'll have one Big Ten, Michigan State, one ACC, and that would be Duke. As you mentioned, one Big East, West Virginia. And that's a foul against Lance Smith, trying for Lance Thomas for the third time, trying to draw a charge. The big three, they called that for a reason at Duke. That's Shire, that's Smith, and that's Singler.
That was a big play, that bucket you saw by Singler. He didn't convert the three-point play, but that's when it started to turn in Duke's favor here in the second half. And Singler was the man in the first half with 11 points. And then Shire and Smith joined the party. There you see what they've done on the year. Actually, the first two games, this is what they've averaged. But not too far off of their season numbers.
No, it's very similar to what they've been doing on the year.
Yep.
To your point, they all averaged over 17 a game. First time in 8 years Duke has had a set of triplets like that. Up ahead, they beat it. Beat the press, and it bounces off the leg of Shire. And that first half, they committed 11 turnovers, very un-Duke-like. It's part of the story here. 3 now in the second half after that one kicked away.
Big turnaround, and that was a huge part of it, taking better care of the ball, figuring out how to attack this pressure defense from Purdue, and then getting contributions from their marquee triplets.
That's Jawan Johnson having a fine effort here tonight. Fine game. 21 points. .126 to go, and that'll send Singler to the line for a 1-and-1. And if it is Duke and Baylor, I know you're not quite ready to advance the brackets, partner, are you? Or can you do that?
You're trying to nudge me in that direction, but I'm going to sit tight.
All right.
86 seconds to go. You see Robbie Hummel, the fine junior forward. Certainly have missed his scoring, rebounding, size, leadership, all the things he brings to the table.
Singler with one more earned.
Well, if he makes this, we can start talking about the potential Duke-Baylor tilt on Sunday.
That matchup would be far faster paced than this one. That one would have a flow to it.
I think it would have a little bit more of a high-speed look.
So he hits them both. Timeout, Duke. Well, we're not going to advance anyone in the bracket quite yet, okay? But there are 9 teams still left, with Purdue hanging by a thread here with 126 to go. And you look at those seedings, you know, we've seen these great Cinderella runs in this year's tournament really kind of defined the first week. But Cornell went out last night, St. Mary's tonight, Northern Iowa tonight. Northern Iowa had that big 7-point lead at halftime against Michigan State. But those 3 stories, yeah, they were great stories, but they all end in this same round. You look at the list there. You got Tennessee's of 6. You got Butler's of 5.
Interesting collection.
Yep.
And then you've got the representation at the top of the bracket, a number of 1 and 2 seeds.
Kramer guns at the top of the key. That's Johnson working hard. And that call's going against Purdue.
I think it just went out of bounds off of Purdue.
There you go. Andre Dawkins returns to the Duke lineup.
Well, just a case of Duke methodically wearing down Purdue. More offensive weapons and just as good defensively. Well, we'll take another look at this. I'm about ready to move Duke into Sunday's matchup against Baylor. So you've got a pair of 1s after Duke moves in, and a pair of 2s. Baylor a 3, so Michigan State.
Duke and Kentucky, by the way, on the same side of the bracket.
Yeah,
so if they both won, and that would be a Saturday matchup. Of course, you got Butler out there playing Kansas State tomorrow in that regional final, and Kansas State with that thriller over Xavier. Shire with another one on the way. But you got Butler with that 23-game win streak, in 1 game away.
1 win, that's right.
I know as a 5 seed, you don't. 5 seed's not necessarily a huge Cinderella, but I think in the minds of America.
Well, in the context,
yeah, putting Butler in the finals 4, coming back home to Indianapolis, that would be some story there.
It sure would be. They'll have the opportunity tomorrow against a very, very good Kansas State team that has size and terrific backcourt players. They defend you well. They attack all the time offensively, inside and out.
How about Kentucky, West Virginia, Clark?
Well, you think about West Virginia, the lack of a true point guard. Darryl Bryant broke a foot earlier this week in practice, so he's unavailable. Bob Huggins' team has done a terrific job banging the offensive glass, utilizing their size and length to create havoc. And in the words of Bob Huggins, his team has become much better defensively over the last few weeks, and they'll need all of that against the balanced offensive attack of Kentucky.
Singler with 21 on the night. And that's a shot by Barlow.
Well, a game effort here by Purdue. Just not enough offense and not enough size.
Well, that was some defensive effort in the first half by
It sure
Purdue.
was.
And you talk about trying to get to Indianapolis and what that would have meant to be playing there in the home state. And so many of these kids on the Boilermaker roster are Indianapolis kids.
That's right.
Like Juwan Johnson, like Kelsey Barlow, Patrick Beatty.
Boy, and you look at this Duke team, Jim, and I've said it all year long, with the size up front and the ability to control the dribble much better than in recent seasons. This team has really become a strong defensive team with more balance offensively. They can throw it inside, high-low action. The big guys move and set solid screens, and then the threesome of Singler, Shire, and Smith all can put the ball in the basket a variety of ways.
It's a Duke team that allowed on the season 61 points a game. Looks like Purdue's going to fall short of that number tonight. 61 is what Duke's allowed, and that's the lowest Duke's allowed opponents in 60 years, since 1950. They go backdoor on them, man. That is two more for each one more.
And the field goal percentage defense also among the best in the nation, right around 40%, Jim.
Ryan Kelly swinging the elbows as Johnson and Kramer both reach in, and now we can finally advance that bracket. Is it ready to happen? Yes, there it is. Look at the matchups. After it all works out, on that one side, it's a 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 3. And then just to think that if the north side of this, you look at the first two regional finals, Michigan State, Tennessee, Butler, Kansas State, one of those four teams is your finalist, is a finalist.
That's right.
Right there.
An interesting collection of four there.
Ryan Kelly at the line. He's a freshman prospect out of Raleigh. Brings in senior Jordan Davidson.
Boy, he had a nice second half, did Nolan Smith.
That was crucial here, was the last minute of the first half. Purdue had a 4-point lead. Singler hit a 3. Fourth dunk of the night for Johnson. And then Nolan Smith hit a shot with a little less than 2 seconds to go. They got the last 5 of the half to go in the locker room with a lead of 1.
And that shot by Nolan Smith was off an offensive rebound, which is where Duke dominated the action statistically, banging the board.
Going to be a little Big 12 ACC matchup here on Sunday. Duke trying to go back to a Final Four for the first time since '04, and Baylor for the first time since 1950. That game might have some fireworks. It's going to be a different pace than this one. Duke controls the second half and moves on to the Elite Eight. We'll be going back to New York and Greg Gumbel when we continue here on CBS and the road to the Final Four.